All right, guys. So week 10 of the NFL season is wrapping up. I know I haven't posted a video in a while, but I'm just going to go over who I believe are higher in the power rankings, who are lower in the power rankings. I listed it into one, two, three, four, six tiers. Super Bowl winners, obviously, that's my team that I believe that's going to win the Super Bowl, win the whole thing. Possible chance of winning the Super Bowl second, playoff bound pretenders that are like fringe playoff teams, but I don't think they'll make it. Awful, which is teams that are have that's probably just as bad as rebuild. No, it's not. Awful's worse. Awful's better than rebuild because awful you're maybe one or two pieces away from being a good pretend team or a playoff bound team, right? And then rebuild, you just need to like scrap up the whole team. So, should I go in order or no? I'm just gonna go in order from where I believe I see these. So Cardinals, I think the Cardinals are playoff bound. The Cardinals are a good team. Kyler Murray's a really good quarterback. I know you guys hate him because he's an elf, he's a midget, he's small. It doesn't matter. He's a very good quarterback, right? He's he has good weapons. He has James Conner. He has um Marvin Harrison, Wilson. He has good weapons around him, but he makes those guys better because who the hell is talking about James Conner in 2024, right? Like I know you say you have him on your fantasy team, he scores a lot of touchdowns last year or this year, but like come on, let's be honest. No one's listing him as a top 10 back. Marvin Harrison has had a shoddy performance so far this season. He ain't Malik Neighbors right now, right? But he scored a touchdown yesterday. He's Kyler Murray and him still have to work on the rapport, but that's just what it is. Next, Atlanta Falcons. They're playoff bound. Atlanta Falcons, I'll be honest with you. If Kirk Cousins wins their quarterback, they are shit because he makes that team amazing. Think about this. Think about this. He makes Darnell Mooney look really good. And you could say Darnell Mooney was great in Chicago or he had potential in Chicago, but that's how good Kirk Cousins. He can tap into that potential. He made Adam Thielen who he is. He made, I guess Adam Thielen was pretty good with Case Keenum. And who was it? Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, but he was decent with that, right? Or so Sam Bradford. Um, but he made Justin Jefferson look really really good, right? So you could say obviously the other way, but now we're seeing Kirk Cousins do it when in Washington. We saw him do it in Washington. You saw him do it in Minnesota. You see him doing it in Atlanta. He's just that good, right? Stop being a fucking hater, okay? So that's where their defense is bad though. Their secondary is good. Their D line is trash. Their D line is trash. Grady Jarrett's there, I know. Matthew Judon, but they need help. They need a linebacker. They need linebacker help, but that's just what it is. I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna front. Baltimore Ravens, they're good. I know I hate Lamar Jackson because I think he's not a quarterback. He's been a lot better recently. But then he'll show up. He'll show up in either the AFC championship game or the AFC divisional game and fuck up. We know. We know. You ain't slick. But that's where they belong. Their defense is god awful. Their defense is so bad. Kyle Hamilton got injured. I don't know if he's out for a long time, but I know he got injured last game versus the Bengals. But we'll put him here. We'll put him here because their rush offense is really good. Mixed with that play action with Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, uh, Bateman, Deontay Johnson was shit against the Bengals, but he's there. So you have to put them there, right? You have to put them there. Bills. Let's be honest. The Bills. They're pre, they're they don't. I don't think I will put them there. The problem with the Bills is their rush defense is really bad. Their rush defense is bad. The receivers aren't that good. Khalil Shakir is your number one receiver right now. They got Amari Cooper, but I don't know where the fuck he's been. And they're passing to Mac Hollins. So that's the problem. I know Dalton Kincaid. I think he got injured yesterday, but Dalton Kincaid is probably their best threat on offense, and that's sad. Okay, that's sad. Not saying that he's not a good player, but next, Carolina Panthers, they're rebuild. I know Bryce Young's played well last two games. I know I haven't made videos about it. I've been sick. I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, right? So Bryce Young, he's not. He's playing better. You know what it is? He's playing more free because I think he realized that damn, I might not be the starter. This might not be the fit for me in Carolina. I know it's just so hard to play in rigorous Carolina. You know, it's one of the major cities, the big markets in the NFL, and it's so hard to play in North Carolina. I mean, who could ever play in North Carolina without that immense pressure? You know, that's like pressure from the Jets or from the Giants or the Niners or Cowboys. That's the same amount of pressure for Bryce Young. But we'll put him there and rebuild. I think he knows he's not going to be the quarterback. I think Dave Canales knows that he's not going to be the quarterback there. I think the Tepper knows he's not going to be the quarterback there. So I think he's playing more free right now. And he beat the Giants and he beat Saints. The Giants aren't that good either. But yeah, next is the Bears. The Bears quit. If you watch any of the Bears games, the Bears quit on their team. Um, they quit. They quit. It's just flat on simple. You saw DJ Moore walking off the field 2 days ago, last week against the Arizona Cardinals. He just walked out the field mid possession. So he quit on the team. I think he had -2 yards at one point, like in the third quarter in yesterday's game. They just quit on their team. I mean, I think they don't like Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams. I don't know. Maybe he's not a good leader, and people just don't respect them over there. But I don't know. They quit. So they're at pretend because they still are. I think 4-5. What's their record? Let me check their record real quick. They're 4-5. Yeah, they're 4-5. So they still have a chance. I mean, they're not out of it completely. Maybe go what 5-2, right? So is it 5-2? No, 6-2. 6-2. 6-2. So yeah, Commanders. No, Bengals. Bengals are they're pretend. I know they're playoff bound. Bengals are good. They're really good. Their defense is really bad, but their offense is the best offense in the NFL. Maybe them and the Ravens are close to each other, but those two are the best offense in the NFL by far. It's not close. I mean, when you have Jamar Chase getting 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, or whatever he had, dominated the game. Joe Burrow, I listed him as my second best quarterback in the NFL preseason ranking, and I stand by that. He is the second best. Honestly, you could say he's playing the best in the NFL right now. I mean, who's playing better than him? Maybe you say Lamar, but no one's playing better than Joe Burrow, in my opinion. No one's playing better than him. Their defense is really bad, though. It's really bad. Yeah, so I'll put them at playoff bound, even though I know their record is bad, right? The record, what's their record? The record is 4-6. Yeah, I mean they have an easy schedule though. They have an easy schedule, so I think they'll be playoff bound. Don't worry about it. The Browns rebuild. They're probably the worst team in the NFL. They're the worst team in the NFL. I think it's either them or the Giants, and I think the Browns are worse because the Giants beat the Browns, and the Browns at Cleveland as well. The Browns, I mean, what can they do? What can they not do? They can't throw the ball. Jameis Winston is inconsistent. Deshaun Watson is getting hand jobs at masseuses. What else do you need? Like, what else do you need? Allegedly, and they're just the worst team. You don't really talk about it. They're awful. They're awful. They're not going to win this year. I think it's over. Dak Prescott's hurt. He's torn hamstring off the freaking bone. That's insane injury. I would put him at awful. I mean, I think everybody knows now that they're not as good. Their defense wasn't as good this year. Dan Quinn makes that big of a difference in their locker room culture or his schemes. Going from Dallas to the head coach of the Commanders. So I'd put him there. Broncos, they're pretend. Broncos, they're decent. They're decent. I mean, they're not awful. You can't put them in awful because they're actually a decent team. The Broncos, they're not playoff bound because I think they're young with Bo Nix. He's kind of young. I know he's like 24, but he's kind of young though as a rookie. He's good. He's good. I mean, I know they lost the game versus KC with that freaking bullshit field goal block. I had money on Broncos money line live bet. Fucking pussies. Anyways, so that's where I put them there. They're at pretend. I mean, there's really nothing to talk about. Their defense is decent. The defense is good. Lions, they're the best team in the NFL. The best team in the NFL. You know what's crazy about the Lions? You know how good the Lions are? The Lions, they literally had 5 interceptions in a game just to keep the game close. Think about this. So what was going on? what was going on. This is how I think, because I think as a sports bettor, as a sports handicapper, this is how I think, right? So I think that the Texans were going to cover that game regardless. Why? Because the public has been eating last week, eating 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, eating, right? Just destroying the books. So there has to be a game. There has to be a game where you're getting a week that you're going to get your money back, right? You saw Georgia lose to Ole Miss on Saturday, right? You saw Giants in the 9:30 game lose as a -6 favorite against the Carolina Panthers, lost, right, in Germany. Then you see the Bears lose to the Patriots. You see all these teams lose that are supposed to be big favorites, right? -6, -7. Even the Commanders is a -3 favorite against the Steelers. You saw them lose. So then you have 80% of money on Lions spread, right? A -3 or -3.5. It was up to 4.5 because no Will Anderson, no Nico Collins, right? So that's two big misses on both sides of the offense and defense, right? So you have to think about that. And then they need that game to be close, okay? Because it's an entertainment business. This guy threw 5 fucking picks just for them to win the game by 3 points. That's how good the Lions are. The Lions are the best team in NFL. You could say this rivals, honestly, this rivals that Todd Gurley team offensively with Jared Goff. I mean, it's just as good. It's just unstoppable. It's just unstoppable. So that's where I would put them. Next, Green Bay. Green Bay belongs in possible chance. Their defense is not that great. Their Jordan Love's good. Matt LaFleur is probably the best offensive coach in the NFL right now. I mean, he makes Malik Willis look good, right? So that's how good he is. So you have to put him in possible chance. They're a decent team. I would have to put him here. Next, you have Houston Texans. Houston Texans are playoff bound. They're playoff bound. Even though they lost 2 straight, they're still leading the AFC South. They're gonna make the playoffs. I mean, who else is gonna make it? The Colts. Colts are trash. Maybe they're not trash, but they're not that good this year. Titans, Jaguars, yeah. So they're playoff bound. You have to put them there. They have no weapons right now. No Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs, but at least Nico Collins is gonna come back soon. And Stephon Diggs is a torn ACL. Hopefully, Will Anderson comes back soon. D'Amico Ryan's a great defensive coach, so let's put him there. Let's put this team at rebuild. They're a rebuilding team. That's just what it is. Even though they've won 4 games, they're not rebuilding. Let's be fair. They're pretend. Because even though they won 4 games, most of their wins aren't great. Their losses are really bad. I mean, they barely beat Miami with Tyler Huntley and then Tim Boyle who came in. So I would just put him there. That's where I would put him. They're not going to make the playoffs, but that's just where I would put them. Jaguars, they're just awful. I can't put them in rebuild because you have Trevor Lawrence there. You need a defense. You need a better defense. Their defense is awful. I'll put them at awful because that's where they belong. He needs weapons. Christian Kirk can't be your best weapon, or Evan Ingram can't be your best weapon. I guess they have Brian Thomas now too. He's decent. Yeah, that's where I'll put him. Awful. Not really much to say. KC, honestly, they obviously they've won 2 straight. They're really good, but they're not that good. And Pat Mahomes is having a shit year. He's having a shit year. He's been awful. And they're still winning. That's how good their D-line is. That's how good their linebackers are. Their defense interior is amazing. Their run offense is amazing. Their O-line is amazing. But Pat Mahomes has been awful. Let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. He's been awful. I was going to do a quarterback ranking, and I was honestly going to put him 13th or 14th this year because you can't put him ahead of guys like Lamar or Kirk Cousins or Burrow, Herbert. You can't put him – his numbers don't say it. I know they win games. He's doing enough just to win games, but you're a Super Bowl champion. You should be blowing teams out like the Lions. Oh, you fucking Chiefs fan are going to say, oh, well, you have to wait for – the playoffs. It's all about the playoffs. They're just waiting for the playoffs to explode. I'm like, okay, we'll see. We'll see them losing the divisional round. We'll see it. We'll see them losing the AFC Championship because they're not making the Super Bowl. I promise you that. They're not making the Super Bowl. Next. Raiders, rebuild. Fire Antonio Pierce. He's a shit coach. Um, Gardner Minshew shouldn't be your quarterback. Desmond Ridder shouldn't be your quarterback. I don't know why they're not trying to trade for Justin Fields. I don't know why they're not trying to take a flyer on Trey Lance. Like Trey Lance, even though he's shit, he's a third overall pick 3 years ago. He'll give you'll at least see something. Maybe you can see something that other people can't. Maybe you can work with him. Maybe you can tap into that potential that everybody saw. Why are you not doing that? Why are you just being okay with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell and Desmond Ridder? You need to get a good quarterback, and they don't have that, right? So I'll put them at rebuild. Fire Antonio Pierce. Their defense looks pretty good though. Even though Antonio Pierce, I know he's a linebacker coach and he's a good defensive coach, but you don't get paid just to be a good defensive coach. You get paid to be a good head coach, which means wins games, and he can't win games. So I put him there. Chargers. They're my team, right? I like them. They're pretend. They do just enough. Even though they're pretend, they're gonna make the playoffs. So I'll put them playoff bound. They're not gonna do anything great there. I mean, Harbaugh's building a good team there, so that's respectable. I'd put him here. That's basically it. Rams. Rams defense is decent. Their offense, the Rams defense is not decent. The Rams defense is awful. Their O line's bad. They're gonna lose tonight versus the Miami Dolphins. I think that I'm gonna put money on the Dolphins this today, +3 by half point. Take the hook. Rams, that's where they belong. They belong here. I think that's a fair assessment to put them, and I'll put them at playoff bound. They have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua if they don't get injured. Miami Dolphins or punch somebody in the face like Puka did. Miami Dolphins are awful. They're gonna win the night though, but they're awful. I mean, let's just be honest. They're 2-6. Their season's over. They're not gonna win anything. But they're not awful. They're pretend because they had no Tua for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. They had Snoop Huntley playing, and who else was it? Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle. Those guys aren't going to get it done. Mike McDaniels, does this gimmick offense that I hate, and I think everybody's sick and tired of already. So I'll put them at pretend. They're going to probably win tonight. So I'll put them at pretend. Vikings are. I don't think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl. So I'll put them at playoff bound. I mean, you can't be almost losing to the Jaguars. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. I like Sam Darnold, but he makes some bonehead decisions, and that's the problem with him with the Jets. That's the problem with him in Carolina. He makes bonehead decisions, right? And you have to put him at playoff bound. You have to. Because they're going to make the playoffs, right? They're what, what's the record? 7-2. Yeah, they're 7-2. So you have to put them there. That's fair. Okay. New England. They're awful. I won't put them in rebuild because they actually do win games, right? They do win games. That's fair to say. They win games. And I can't put them in rebuild because they already know they were rebuild. They were rebuilding last year. They're going to get better. They have a good rush offense. They have Drake May now playing, who looks decent. So I'd put them at awful. Not anywhere after that. Saints need to rebuild. They just fired their head coach, Dennis Allen, which is thank God because he's fucking awful. Derek Carr got him fired twice, by the way. Once with the Raiders and once now with the Saints. And they're awful. They're just bad. They're just bad. They need a new quarterback. Okay. No, they're awful. Giants are rebuild. Daniel Jones, maybe it's not a workout for Daniel Jones in New York Giants. And I'm sad to say that because I actually like Daniel Jones. I think he's a good quarterback. I just think that they never really invested in the offensive line. I mean, Evan Neal's decent. Andrew Thomas is out. They got Eric Flowers, who was shit. I mean, like they just swung and missed a lot. They need to have a better talent director or a better head of scouts because they need to find these talent. They're whiffing bad on talent. And Daniel Jones was probably maybe not the top 10 pick or whatever he was, first round pick, but he is a serviceable, good quarterback. He'll be a starting quarterback one more time. Jets are rebuild. It's time to rebuild the Jets because The Jets are just like their defense is so bad. Their defense is really bad. They got rid of like 3 defensive linemen last year. The Jets have really nobody, right? Yeah, they really have nobody on defense. I mean, Sauce Gardner, they're either attacking him now. Their offense is not working. I don't know what it is. Their offense is not working. And maybe people say Aaron Rodgers has been bad. His mobility is definitely taking a hit. I mean, he's not as mobile anymore, but that arm still looks beautiful. I don't know. They need to figure out something, but this is not their year this year, right? So Eagles are obviously in Super Bowl winners. Their Eagles are good. They're really good. I know the coach and the quarterback hate each other. Jalen Hurts and Sirianni, they hate each other, but they're there. They're there. They're going to be one of the 2 teams battling for the NFC, champion. So it's either them or the Lions, I think. They're there. I mean, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, what a pickup. I mean, DeAndre Swift, people are like, why would we get rid of DeAndre Swift and pay more for Saquon Barkley? That's why. Saquon Barkley is literally that dude. I mean, you saw that backwards hurdle he had. Amazing. Insane. Steelers are possible chance. Steelers are good. Russell Wilson, I mean, he's in that play action offense, and he's really good at it. Maybe that's why it didn't work out in Denver. He's a play action quarterback. He's always been a play action quarterback in Seattle with Marshawn Lynch, Chris Carson. Everything was run, throw the ball, run, throw the ball. And in Denver, they really didn't do that. They had him line up in shotgun a lot, 3-step drops in under center, and that's just not what he is, right? He wants to air the ball out, and he's good at that. He's good. If you gave him like Bruce Arians vertical offense, would be better, but they don't have that. So I'll put him there. Their defense is good. TJ Watt's probably the best D lineman you've seen in a while. Maybe Aaron Donald, obviously, but you've seen in a while, right? San Fran's bad. Are they going to make the playoffs? Let's see the record. They'll make the playoffs, but they're bad. They're bad. I mean, did you see Deebo Samuel push Jake Moody in the long snapper yesterday? He missed 3 field goals. They pushed him. I mean, they're bad. They're yeah. I mean, that's all you can say about them. They're not that good. Their run game with McCaffrey's coming back, but they have to play better. They're not playing well. Their defense is really bad. Their secondary is awful. They're going to be playoff bound, but they're not going to be in this. They're not these teams. Maybe I'll put them there. They are these teams because they're equivalent to like Steelers, and I think they're better than the Bills because I don't think the Bills are that good. Seahawks, they're in rebuild. Seahawks need to rebuild. Just because they win games, they're 4-5. They're winning. They can win games. They're in rebuild. Why are they in rebuild? Because Geno Smith's not the answer. And I like Geno Smith. Geno Smith's a good quarterback, but he's not the answer. He throws too many picks. He's inconsistent. You can't have that. So they're obviously not worse than these teams, but they need to rebuild. They need another quarterback. Maybe you get because if you really think about it, if they get a rookie quarterback, Tyler Lockett's not going to be there anymore. DK Metcalf's not going to be there anymore, probably. So if you get a rookie quarterback, that's just what it is. And they need to rebuild. So I'm really thinking about more of where I see them next year than what I see them right now. So I'd put them there. Tampa Bay, they're pretend. They're D's. I mean, it's not fair. I mean, you have to put them at awful now because that's not fair. It's not fair because they actually were a good team. They beat the Lions. They were a good team. But with Mike Evans gone, Chris Godwin gone, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to rival that, to just be better than those 2 duos. I mean, that duo. It's hard. It's hard. So I'll put them there. Titans, they're in rebuild mode. I mean, maybe Will Levis is not the answer. That's just what it is. Maybe he's not the answer. Yeah, maybe this is not the answer. And you need to get another quarterback. They traded away Calvin Ridley. Oh, wait. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins. And they're just in rebuild mode. They know it's not their year. Maybe they need 2 or 3 more years. Their defense is really good, though. Their defense is insane with Jeffrey Simmons in them. Washington Commanders, pretend. Let me see. No, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So So I need to take one of these teams out, huh? Okay, I'll figure it out later. But Washington, they're pretenders. They're gonna make the playoffs probably because they're 7-2, 6-3. They're 7-3. Yeah, they're 7-3. They're probably gonna make the playoffs, but they're not good. They're not good. I mean, Jaden Daniels is amazing. He's really good, but their defense is not that good. Dan Quinn, I mean, he has a problem when he's a head coach, his defense is shit, and when he's defensive coordinator, his defense is amazing. So I don't know what the fuck he has to do to fix that, but that's just what it is. Maybe they don't have the defensive core because they traded away a lot of players last year and 2 years ago. They traded away Chase Young. I think Montez Sweat is gone too, or Josh Sweat, one of the two, and and they don't have the defensive capabilities right now that they should. So I would put them there. I need to take a couple teams out, obviously. So I would take out Rams. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So one of these teams aren't going to make it. And the Falcons are going to make it because everybody else is shit. So I'm thinking Cardinals, how they not going to make it, man? The Cardinals are good. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the Cardinals probably not going to make it. I mean, that's just sad. That's just sad to say because I actually like the Cardinals. I like Kyler Murray, but they're not going to make it. So yeah, these are probably the teams where I'd put them. This is the power rankings. Untraditional power rankings, right? But that's just what it is. This is my first video in a while, guys. So hopefully I stayed for the whole 27 minutes. Thank you guys. Hope you liked what I put.